What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, the Tell All Part 1, Season 6. So, when everybody's gathering backstage and they're all talking and meeting each other for the first time or whatnot, the only thing that I want to talk about the backstage scene is when Shekinah and Sarper whipped out a stick of butter and just began chomping on it. Okay, like it was a piece of chocolate, like it was a bar of chocolate. And at first, I thought it was cheese because, like, why would I think that they're eating butter backstage of the 90 Day Fiance tell all? Like, what is going on? But it was a stick of butter that they were both eating. And Shekinah says that they are on the carnivore diet. Now, TikTok has taught me, and I don't know how true this is because it came from TikTok, but TikTok has taught me that people who eat pure butter are normally people who are bulimic. And so that whenever they are upchucking their food, the butter is supposed to coat their esophagus and their stomach lining or whatever, so that as the food is coming back up, those stomach acids that are also coming up won't burn their esophagus or their throat as much. This is what TikTok taught me. I don't know if it's true or not. Obviously, I'm not alleging that Shekinah and Sarper are doing this, but the only time that I've seen someone eat a stick of butter was on TikTok, and the people in the comments were saying that the person who was doing that, they were doing it because they are known to be bulimic, and they do it because it's supposed to aid in the upchucking of the food. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. If you're on the carnivore diet, then why weren't y'all chomping on a block of cheese or chomping on a steak? Why was it like pure butter? Like, this was so weird to me. So then everybody gets on stage, the show begins, and Sean Robinson, the host of the Tell All, she tells us that what's her name is not going to be joining us. Dempsey and Statler, that they were not going to be part of the Tell All, and the only thing that she said was that they have broken up. Okay, that's the only thing she said. They're not going to be joining us because they are broken up. Well, Inky and Corona are also broken up, but they were both there. So, like, why don't you tell us the truth? Y'all deserve to be upfront and honest with us, okay? Y'all deserve. We need to know exactly what's going on. We have dedicated so much time in watching every single franchise of this show. You're not going to get away with just saying they broke up, that's why they're not here. No, give us the real deal of why Statler and Dempsey are not here. Rumor has it, I don't know if this is true or not, but rumor has it that Statler was breaking NDA agreements left and right because she was so unsatisfied with how she was treated on the show, and she wanted to speak out on it. So she had a lot to say about how a lot of storylines are completely fake, how the producers are controlling everything. They're telling you what to say, they're telling you what to talk about, they're telling you what to argue about. Things are happening between the couples that normally would not happen between them, but to make the show interesting, the producers are feeding them stories or feeding them lines or what have you. So because of that, I don't know if they sued her or what, but she was not going to be on the tell. And she talked about it on her TikTok whenever she was doing her lives, that she was not going to be a part of the tell all. She wasn't even sure if Dempsey was going to be there or not. And we see that neither one of them were invited. So moving on from there. I also noticed that Lily was not there with what's his name, Josh. And I didn't understand, like, why wasn't Lily, why couldn't she travel to the United States to be with Josh on the tell all? Or if she couldn't travel, why didn't they join in remotely from China? So that made me think that I don't think these people are really together. I don't know if Lily knows or not, but if Josh is here without her, he said he was here for like family. Did he say he was here for like a family reason? He had like here for something going on with his family. But still, why wouldn't Lily be here at least for the tell all? If she couldn't stay as long as he was going to stay here because he was dealing with something with his family, she could have at least shown up to do the tell all, stay here a couple of days and then go back to China if she was like if she had to work or whatever. So I thought that was really interesting that they were not on the tell all together in one country. Um, Sean is here with Joanne. They asked him, so how long are you going to be staying in America? He says, right now it's temporary, and it's temporary. Obviously, I don't think he's going to end up living here unless he's able to bring his daughter here, which I don't think he'll be able to do because the mother still lives in Ireland and they share custody of the little girl. So I'm assuming he was just here visiting. Corona says she's back in school, not together with Inky. Sean had a lot of heat for Inky. Okay, when they touched on Corona and Inky in the beginning, just for like an introduction into their story, Sean had some cuss words for Inky. He came at him really strong and aggressive, and Inky looked completely confused and bewildered. Like, where's all of this coming from? And I don't have an issue, obviously, when couples are confronting other couples, or giving advice to other couples, or getting deep into other people's business, because that's what this tell-all is really all about. But I didn't understand the animosity that Sean had towards Inky. I know that Sean and Corona, I've seen them do a live together with some other people. I think with Statler and Corona and Inky and some other people. They are probably really close social media friends, but still. Okay, this whatever they got going on has nothing to do with you, Sean. And so all of that aggression to me made no sense. Um, and then when Sean was giving Inky all that heat, Corona jumped in and they were both tag teaming Inky, and Inky was like really confused. So it finally gets started officially now with Shekinah and Sarper. Sarper's visa was approved, and this is why we're seeing him on the couch. They talked about his engagement to his proposal to Shekinah. And I think the question was to Shekinah, did you feel, like, were you disappointed when you found out the real reason why Sarper proposed to you? Basically to convince her. It was his way of trying to manipulate her into staying in Turkey instead of coming to America, because Shekinah had wanted to come to America with Sarper. She had talked about getting his visa ready for them to come to America together. And Sarper supposedly did not want to come to America. He wanted to stay in Turkey with Shekinah. And so a way for him to convince her to stay was that he was going to propose to her. I don't know how him proposing to her was a tactic to get her to stay in Turkey. I didn't understand how that was going to work. To me, it really fell into the whole 90-day process of applying for an American visa. Him proposing, then they come to America, then they officially have 90 days to get married. That to me made sense. I didn't understand, like, how is proposing to Shekinah going to convince her to stay in Turkey? I didn't understand. So Shekinah said that, she felt kind of bad when she found out the real reason behind his proposal, that it wasn't for love or wanting to commit his life to her. It was just a tactic for him to try to convince her to stay in Turkey. Shekinah and Sarper to me are fake and phony. Their storyline to me is very fake. Everything that they say, everything that they talk about to me, I'm not believing. So I don't think Sarper proposed obviously for a storyline, for the show, and it had nothing to do with convincing Shekinah to stay in Turkey. And Shekinah knew that, and Sarper knew that. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. If the plan was to come back to America, then why sign up for the other way, where the American is supposed to live in the other country? If for whatever reason she didn't want to stay in Turkey, why did you sign up for this particular franchise? So the question was to Sarper, would you still have proposed if you knew that you would eventually just end up in the United States? Sarper gave some convoluted answer. It didn't make any sense because the reason that he gave for the proposal made no sense. So he couldn't give a logical answer, a linear answer to that question, because he proposed to her just simply because he wanted to get married, I'm assuming, and it was part of the process of coming to America. So his answer to me was too convoluted. The only thing that I took from his answer was that he didn't want to leave, he didn't want them to be separated. Shekinah was dead set on coming to America. He didn't want to stay in Turkey without her, and he didn't want to do a long distance relationship. So whatever, it didn't make any sense because everything about them is fake. So they talk about Shekinah's insecurities and her jealousy. And it just boggled my mind how everybody on stage thought that it was healthy to be jealous of your partner and to not want your partner to go anywhere without you, do anything without you, have friends of the opposite sex. To me, I think that's kind of strange. If you're that insecure, maybe this is not the relationship for you. But then again, I'm the kind of person where I don't want to be stressed out. So I am not going to be like, where are you going? Who are you with? What are you doing? I got to be there with you. I can't do that. Life is too short and I don't want to be stressed out. If I have to do that to a partner where I'm constantly like, oh my God, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? Y'all, it's just not for me. So, Shekinah admits that she's jealous. She says that they're both jealous of each other. Then they talk about phones and, do you have each other's location? Which I think that they don't. And the question was to Shekinah, are you allowed to have access to his phone? Can you see, can you look through his phone? And they both said no. And Sarper said that everybody's entitled to some level of privacy. And he talked about how sometimes he's in these group chats with his buddies and they may be sharing pictures that Shekinah might find offensive, pictures of naked women or explicit pictures or whatever. And, you don't want your girl to see that. So Shekinah thought that was just disgusting. And Sarper said that it was innocence of disgust. That's what he said. It's innocence of disgust. It's innocent. Yes, it is disgusting, but it's all innocent because, whatever. We're not planning on cheating on our women. It's just something that guys do for fun. He says he doesn't participate. He's just he just observes what his friends are doing, but he doesn't participate himself. Whatever, don't really care. Shekinah's friend Josh then joins them via satellite or via Zoom or whatever. And he says that he does have concerns with Sarper and Shekinah's relationship because they're both extremely jealous of one another and they're deeply insecure of one another. And so they don't allow each other to have friends of the opposite sex. Sarper is okay with Josh because Josh is gay, but if he wasn't, Sarper would not. He just doesn't want Shekinah to have friends of the opposite sex and vice versa. She doesn't want it for him. He doesn't want it for her. Tata and James chime in and they talk about how Tata is extremely jealous. She's a very jealous wife and how she doesn't allow James to have female friends. And they're both giggling about it. And it's just like, y'all, it's bizarre to me that people brag about how insecure and jealous they are in their relationships. Tato was giggling. Sarper and Shekinah thought that, it showed how much they love each other. And then Josh and Lily. Josh said that Lily told him that the day that she stops being jealous is the day that she is no longer in love with him. And they talk about this like this is a beautiful thing. To me, it's extremely high school to be like, to have that type of jealousy, to be like, I have to be jealous in order to prove that I love you. To me, that is so high school. Um, Things are going to happen, whether you're jealous or you're not, whether you're insecure or not. If your partner wants to cheat, they're going to find a way to cheat. And that's just that. They're going to find a way to cheat. Whether whatever level of jealousy you're on, if your partner wants to cheat on you, they're going to find a way to do it. You cannot, unless you have them locked up in a dungeon somewhere, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. All you need is 5 minutes. It's nothing to cheat on your partner. And so when these people are bragging about, oh, I'm so jealous and I don't let them do this and I don't let them do that and I don't want them, and these are grown people. These are grown adults talking about how their jealousy is controlling their partner. It's just bizarre. I want someone to want to not cheat on me or to not do things that will question our relationship because I just don't want to. Not because, oh, if I do this, Cookie's gonna get mad. If I talk to that girl, Cookie's gonna get mad. No, I want you to not talk to her because you just have no interest in talking to her. I want you to not like someone's provocative pictures on social media because you just don't have it in you to do that or whatever. I don't want you to be like, oh, I can't do this because, if Cookie knew, she's going to be so upset. To me, it's just strange. They briefly talk about Sarper's 2,500 conquest, which I think this might mean that Sarper might be a sex addict, but I don't know. Then they bring out one of his exes. one of the 2,500, and her name is Dee Dee, and she is a therapist. So nobody knew that she was going to be there. Sarper and Shekinah pretended to be surprised. I think the rest of the cast was genuinely surprised. And this girl, Dee Dee, talks about how she met Sarper in Turkey 3 years ago. Shekinah quickly dismissed her as one of his one night stands. And they met during COVID. They hooked up during COVID, but they stayed in touch up until like November of 2023. I think because Sarper tried to make it seem like, yeah, we hooked up and that was it. And then Dee Dee was like, no, but we kept on talking way until November 2023. So everybody was shocked about that because this must have been around the time they had already met Shekinah. Now, Dee Dee knew about Shekinah because Sarper had told her that he was in a relationship with her. He told her that he had a girlfriend. Dee Dee even wanted to meet Shekinah on one of her trips to Turkey or something. She wanted to meet Shekinah. Shekinah thought that that was really weird that Dee Dee would want to meet her. Sarper said that he told Dee Dee that, no, you can't meet Shekinah because she's very possessive and unpredictable. And Dee Dee, who's a therapist, said that in her professional opinion, she believes that Sarper would never cheat on Shekinah. And she kind of wanted to get more information on that. Like, what makes you think that he's not going to cheat? Because Sarper was trying to see the whole Dee Dee thing to me was fake and phony. Okay. I think Dee Dee is a paid actress, and I think she was paid by Sarper and Shekinah just to bring more drama to their story. To me, the whole thing with Dee Dee was just dumb. But anyways, Sarper was trying to he was asking Dee Dee, you know how Turkish men are because you've been to Turkey, and you know how I am. I'm a typical Turkish man. So what do you see in me that would make you think that, I'm serious about Shekinah or something like that? And Dee Dee, I guess, was supposed to say, well, because you used to be a dog before, but now you settled down, you're not humping everything that has a heartbeat, and you have really settled down, and Shekinah's your one and only. So Shekinah was like, well, how do you know? You don't even know him. How do you know any of this? You don't even know him. You don't even know me. Because Dee Dee also said that Shekinah was toxic, that her jealousy and her possessiveness was very toxic. And so then Shekinah ended up leaving. She left the stage. She walked off. You always have to have a walk off on a damn reunion. So she walked off, and while she was in the back room, huffing and puffing, they talked about how often were you and Sarper communicating. Sarper tried to make it seem like we only talked a couple of times. Then Dee Dee pulls out her phone and she starts showing all of the text messages between her and Sarper, which were very, 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 very long. But the majority of them took place before he even met Shekinah. So I was like, what was the point of this? Like, what are we doing here? Is this trying to be like a Michael and Angela moment with a private investigator, didn't have any receipts on Michael? Like, why? What is this all about? Like, nobody cared. And so she kind of didn't want to come back on stage. Sarper never got up to follow her, and it was Corona and I think Tata who went back there to check on Shekinah. And so still there was no Sharper. Still there was no Sarper. And then at some point Corona tells Sarper, don't you want to check on her? So he gets up to go talk to her, and she's upset with him, not so much over Dee Dee because she's a paid actress, but she was more upset about Sarper not following her out when she got up and left the stage. And so Sarper was like, I don't know what you want me to do. What did I do wrong? I don't understand what's going on. And so she was really upset about that. So they kind of go back and forth a little bit. But as soon as Sarper tells her how beautiful she looks, Shekinah was fine. She was good again. He complimented her, said she was beautiful. Next thing you know, she's hugging and kissing him. She's good. This is just the groundwork for them to come on 90 Day Fiance. That's what this is. This is just the introduction for their appearance on 90 Day Fiance. Like I said, we will never see the end of Shekinah and Sarper. They're going to plague us until the show is no more. I wouldn't be surprised, if y'all, I just can't. I can't with Shekinah and Sarper. So we're probably going to see them on 90 Day Fiance, or we're probably going to see them on 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After, and we're probably going to see them on 90 Day Fiance, The Last Resort. Moving on to Josh and Lily. So they asked Josh and Lily to rate your relationship. And Josh rates it a 6. I guess a 10 being like, your relationship is doing really well. Josh rates their relationship a 6. Lily rates it a 3. So Lily talks about how there is still no sex between them, not even a hug. Okay, the no sex thing, we can come up with a plethora of reasons why they're not having sex. It could be a medical condition, it could be a hormonal imbalance, it could be a whole bunch of stuff. But you can't even hug your wife, because she mentioned that. She goes, "There's not even a hug. He doesn't even hug me." What? You can't even hug your wife? I mean, you hug strangers when you meet them for the very first time. You cannot hug your wife. He had no problems hugging everybody backstage when the rest of the cast was showing up, but you can't hug your wife. So Lily talks about how this has made her lose confidence in herself. That's why you need to kick him to the curb, Lily. You need to kick this man to the curb. Once this man is making you feel some kind of way about yourself, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, you don't feel as attractive, you don't feel as beautiful, you kick him to the curb. Okay? Because what is the point of being with someone who's making you feel like that? You can do that on your own. Okay? You can do that without having to take care of a grown man. So Josh gets really emotional, with his fake tears. I don't even know if he had tears, but he was trying to conjure up some tears. He got really emotional, talking about how he just wants to make his wife happy or something like that. Y'all, I don't buy Josh's excuses. I don't believe anything that Josh has to say. I think Josh is not a good husband for anybody. I don't think he's a good husband for Lily. I think Josh is too grown to be acting like this. I need Josh to adult up, to man up, to make a decision that he is going to do what he needs to do to be a better husband. But he doesn't want to do that. I don't know what he's waiting for. I don't know if he's waiting for Tinkerbell to come and tap him with her wand to magically make him the kind of husband that Lily wants. I'm not sure exactly what he's waiting for. If you don't want to make it happen, if you don't want to make that conscious decision to do what you need to do to make your marriage work, why don't you just come back home? Get a divorce and just come back home. So what I thought was really interesting, so they asked Lily, "How do you feel when you see him get emotional like this on stage?" And Lily was like, "I don't feel anything." Because she's done. She's over it. Well, what is she supposed to feel? This man is making her feel bad. Why would she have any sympathy for a man that is making her question how she feels about herself? Why would she feel bad for him? So then James puts in his 2 cents and he says that the relationship is very one sided. And it's one sided as far as Josh is really in love with Lily, but Lily doesn't love him. You see, I felt the opposite. I felt like throughout the whole season, Lily was in love with Josh because she was putting up with so much. And he was not in love with her because he wasn't doing much of anything to help his marriage. Okay, he wasn't satisfying her physically. He wasn't taking care of her financially or contributing financially. He was constantly picking on her, criticizing her, putting her down. So I felt like she was the one that was in love with him because she was putting up with all of this. She was still holding on to hope that things were going to get better. She was still thinking that, he was going to change. He was the one that kind of gave up on her, but still stayed. I felt the opposite of what James was saying. I felt like she was in love with him, but he does not love her. Sarper says that he should just go ahead and sleep with her, which what else do you expect from a sex addict? What other advice do you expect from a sex addict? He tells Josh, just sleep with her, just sleep with your wife, just make it happen, which I don't buy into that. They told Gino this a lot at their reunion. I think it was it Happily Ever After? They told Gino, just sleep with Jasmine, just sleep with her. I am not a proponent of that. If you don't want to, if you don't feel like it, why would you force someone to do it? He should do it because he wants to. Like, why? If he does it because everybody's egging him on, like, how was that supposed to make Lily feel better that he did this because everybody pressured him to do this, not because he wanted to do this? So I don't buy into that. Everybody on stage agreed with that. Even Corona, she even agreed with that. So Josh is doing his whole meek and mild thing, like, he's acting like he's the victim, and I'm really trying, and I don't know what else to do, and I'm trying to save my marriage, and to me it was fake and phony. So the question was, how long has it been since they've been intimate? Josh says he doesn't really remember because it's been that long. He can't even remember. And most men would know how long it's been since they were intimate with their wife. Okay, most men will tell you down to the second of how long it's been. Okay, because they're keeping track and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Josh says he doesn't know. So when they finally push him, he says it's been about 4 months and they were intimate. A married couple, 4 months. Josh says that it's hard for him to be intimate with Lily because she's constantly belittling him and criticizing him and makes him lose interest. This is very Gino-esque. Okay, these are the same excuses that Gino was giving. But in Gino's case, Jasmine really was belittling him and emasculating him and criticizing him and putting him down. Okay, in that situation, we were seeing it, we were witnessing it with our own eyeballs of this woman emotionally abusing this man. So I never saw it in Lily. Lily would do her little slick comments about, I paid for dinner and I'm paying for this and I'm paying for that, which I thought to me was like kind of legit. Because how are you going to go to China to be with your wife and you come there with no money? Like that doesn't make any sense. And supposedly you've been working your whole life. Josh is like what, in his 40s, possibly early 50s. Like no savings account, no nothing at all. Anywho, so when they ask Lily how long has it been, she says that in the totality, I think she said in the totality of their relationship, they probably have been intimate 4 to 5 times. Which then I had a lot of questions, and I wish somebody would have asked. Okay, so exactly how long have y'all been together? How long have y'all been married? And what was the living arrangements before he came to China? Like I'm still not clear, and they probably showed it during the season, but I must have forgotten. Like, where do they meet? How do they meet? Did they ever live together before he moved to China? And when they got married the first time, was it in America? So she was in America. Were they living in America together? I want to know what was going on between them before he came to China. Like, how was he contributing financially? What was their intimacy life like before he even came to China? Because I think that would tell me a whole lot. Then that would let me know if what's going on now is making sense or not. Because if it's always been like this, okay, then yeah, this is just what it is. But if there was some type of a change, like before they were hot and heavy, couldn't keep their hands off each other, and he was like contributing with all the bills and paying for this and paying for that, and then now he's in China, all of that stops. Like, what's really going on? So Corona says, why are you even fighting for this relationship? She's asking that to Lily. And Lily says, I love my husband. Then the question was, are you willing to stay in this sexless relationship? And Lily says, as long as I'm happy and we can grow old together, she's going to stay with Josh. But are you happy, Lily? Are you happy? Because he didn't seem happy at all. The majority of the season, you rarely cracked a smile. The cast says that the issue is that the power dynamic between them is completely off. In other words, because of the fact that she's the one that is financially supporting him, it's making him feel emasculated, and it's affecting his libido. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think he has a problem with her supporting him, because if he did have a problem, he would have made sure that he came to China with enough money, and he would have been actively trying to get his documentations together to get whatever he needed to start working in China. Or why don't you work remotely? We had Statler, she's running around all over Europe, and she was still doing her work from home job or her remote job. Like, can you get a remote job from China, or is the Wi-Fi down just like the credit card machines are down over there as well, Josh? Like, what's really going on? Like, why can't you do a work from home type of job? A company that's based in America, or a company or a company that is that allows English speaking employees, and just work from home. Like, I don't understand. Work remotely. I don't get it. So everybody says that his libido would be better if he was the provider. And Josh agreed with this. He was like, yes, I agree with that. If I was able to provide for her and if she wasn't constantly nagging me, then, everything would be better in the bedroom. But there are jobless men, there's unemployed men, there are men who don't do a damn thing, and they don't have an issue with their libido. Okay. Because everybody gets on their partner's case. Like, why are you with them? A man who ain't got no damn job. And, they got babies and everything else is going on. So I don't know. Okay, so did they ever, okay, blah, blah, blah. I wanted them to talk more about what is he doing to actively try to gain employment in China. If that's the issue, is that he can't provide for her. So what are you doing to make that happen in China? Because you want us to believe that children are still living together in China. So what are you doing to make that happen? How have you started the process to get this going? Then the conversation goes to everybody's body count. Like, how many people have you been with? And Josh said that he has only been with 4 people. Corona said she wasn't surprised because he's just not interested in sex. It's pretty obvious because he's not interested in sex. A man who's like in his 40s or 50s, he's only had 4 partners. To me, that wasn't that, crazy or abnormal, only because of the fact that maybe he was in very long term relationships. Maybe. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I've been ragging on him since episode 1. So I'm just trying to give this man the benefit of the doubt now. Like, okay, if it's 4 people, he's in his 40s or 50s. Maybe he has long-term relationships. Maybe he likes to move a little bit slower than the average person. He takes it seriously if he's going to sleep with somebody, etc. So then they go to talk about Shekinah's damn body count. And we know that Sarper does not want to know, has never wanted to know her body count because it would unhinge him. And they would have to probably get security to keep Sarper off of Shekinah. So Shekinah chose not to say anything. She said that she wants to respect his wishes and to not give that number because he doesn't want to hear it at all. They really tried to get her to say it, but Sarper was like he wasn't having it, and so she respected her man and didn't say the number. And yes, there is a double standard where he can talk about his 2,500, whether she asked to know the number or not. He put it out there, and he doesn't want to be judged by that at all. But then he's going to judge her if she's had, 1 or 2 or 3 partners before him. He's going to severely criticize her and judge her. James and Matalia, let's talk about that. So they're back in the United States. They've been back for the past 4 months. They came back because James had promised that he was going to work on Matalia's sister's visa. Because Matalia would not leave Indonesia until James promised her that he was going to start the process of getting a visa for her sister to come and visit her. And Matalia made that clear during the show, during the season, and also on at the reunion that she only wants, or she's only expecting Angel to visit, not to live with her and James. So James says that, he's not looking forward to Angel coming because she is a problem. She starts a lot of drama. She influences Matalia. She starts talking bad about him to Matalia, and it causes problems between him and Matalia. Matalia, of course, on cue, she starts crying. And they talk about her crying because they're like, damn, girl, you cried a lot during the season and you have not stopped and you are still crying now. Like, what is going on with you? And she talks about how, she's very sensitive and anything can trigger her. And James attested to that. It's like, yeah, she can cry at the drop of a dime. She's easily triggered. Anything can trigger her to start crying. So then Angel joins in remotely, and she said she still doesn't like James. They asked her, don't you want to get to know him? Don't you want to, get to know him for yourself instead of just going on rumors or whatever you had in your head about him? Don't you actually want to get to? She was like, nope, not interested in getting to know James. I don't care about knowing James. Not interested at all. So James was like, what did I ever do to make you hate me so much? And Angel was like, nothing. I just don't like you. So the cast is completely Team James and anti-Angel. So I thought to myself, maybe Angel knows something about their relationship that the rest of us don't know. And that's why she has a problem with him, because maybe Matalia had confided something in her sister about James that really triggered her sister and pissed her off. And we just don't know, because it's just odd that she would dislike this man just for no reason, right? Well, eventually she starts to expound a little bit more on her hatred towards James. So Joanne says that Angel needs a man, and nothing gets my blood boiling more than that. Whenever a woman is acting in any kind of way that someone may not like, and the response is, you just need to get a man, you need a man in your life, I see red. I see red. Having a man is not the end all and be all of a damn thing. Okay. A lot of the times it causes a lot more problems than solutions. And so the fact that she needs to get a man, get your own man and stop worrying about your sister's man, y'all, I can't. I absolutely, that's just very dismissive. Just like, why don't y'all try to dig a little bit deeper to figure out exactly what's going on between Angel and James? She might have valid reasons. She may not have valid reasons for disliking her brother in law. But to be very dismissive and just be like, oh, you just need a man, that is no. So Corona says that she's just jealous, that Angel is just jealous because she's the older sister who is still not married and her younger sister got married. But look at what her younger sister got married to. Look at what her younger sister got married to. Corona, you said that she's just jealous. That Angel is jealous of Matalia because she got married first and she's the younger sister. Have we ever seen Angel cry? How many times have we seen Matalia cry? And Matalia is the one that got the prize. She got the man. How many times have we seen her cry? She has cried nonstop since episode 1. And all of her crying is directly related to this man that she's got. That's supposed to be such a prize, and that's supposed to be the answer to all of her problems, the solution to all of her problems. All you got to do is just get you a man, just get a man, and you'll be happy. Angel says that James had never, she says her issue is number one, she feels like, James took her sister away from her, taking her all the way to America, away from her family. And also that James had never asked for her permission to marry Tata. Because in their culture, if the older sister is single, then the man who's going to marry the younger sister has to ask for a permission from the older sister. Okay, that's their culture. We can't question it. It is what it is. So James knew the protocol because they asked, James, did you know that? And Tata said, yeah, he knew that because I told him. And James' excuse was that even if I would have asked, she still would have said no, because at that time, she had already started spreading rumors about me to the rest of the family. She had already hated me. So even if I would have asked for permission, she probably still would have said no. There's probably that's probably a good point that he made. So, but then again, just still go through with it. If that's their culture, just still go through with the protocol. Whatever she says is whatever she says, because it seems like y'all were going to get married anyway. So Angel says that she really wants James to apologize to her for not asking for permission to get married. I don't think that's going to make Angel feel any better. If James was to apologize because he didn't ask her for permission to marry Tata, I don't think that would change anything in Angel about how she feels towards James, because she sees how unhappy her sister is. So she's not going to automatically start loving James just because he apologizes for not asking for Tata's hand in marriage. They talk about children and how James had broken his promise to Tata about having kids, because when they got together, he wanted to have kids, and now he says he doesn't want to have children anymore. And Matalia says that she's going to stay with James even though he says he doesn't want to have kids, and she really wants to have kids. Okay, girl, that's cool, but don't bring it up and use it against him. If you are the one that's going to be giving up motherhood to stay with this man because he doesn't want children, then don't bring this up anymore with him. Just be satisfied with that. But I feel like she's going to resent him. She's really young. And I think that if a woman really does want to have children, especially if she's in a relationship where, they could provide for a child, it's not a financial situation, because James' excuse is to me, it's silly as hell. He says he doesn't want to have children because the world has changed so much since COVID. People are very mean to each other. It's a really mean and cruel world. He doesn't want to bring children into this. That's a whole bunch of hogwash. Um, Sarper made a good point when he said it's like, on the beauty pageants, when they ask them, what is your number one wish, and they say my number one wish is world peace. It's that silly. It's never going to happen. The world will never be at a point where anybody would think, oh, the world is so beautiful now. This is the perfect time to have a kid. It will never be at that point. So, like, that's not a good excuse to not have children. Unless you live like in a war-torn country or daily you're fighting for your life, I can understand. That I could definitely understand. But if you're living in a country where, it's not like that, come on. If you don't want to have kids, it's okay to say I don't want to have kids. It's okay to say I don't want to be a parent. I don't understand this thing about people being afraid to just come out. If you don't want them, if you don't like them, it's okay. Having children is not for everybody. There are people out there who have kids who probably regret having kids. If you don't want to have children, it's okay. Say, look, I'm not crazy about having kids. I don't want to be responsible for a whole nother human being. I like my freedom. I like being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I like being able to sleep for the entire night, instead of having to wake up 6 or 7 times to feed a crying baby. I like a child-free life. It's okay. So, but I think that Matalia is going to resent him. I feel like Matalia feels pressured into staying with James. I really do. I think she feels pressured into staying with him. Because to me, it doesn't make any sense. Why you would stay with a man who would deprive you of something that is so important to you. So Angel is upset that James hurt Matalia by changing his mind about having children. That really bothered Angel. So the question was, James, how can you even still pay for her visa knowing how this woman is absolutely against you and against you being with her sister? And James says, it's already in process. I've already paid for it because Tata would not leave Indonesia until he began the process for Angel's visa. And the reason why she wanted to see him start the process before she left Indonesia, because she knows James' MO. She knows how James gets down. He'll make a promise and then he'll break it. He'll say he'll do something, then he will never do it. So she was like, you know what? I got you. I'm not leaving Indonesia until you. That marriage to me is so full of strife. The fact that how they have to do this whole, I'm only going to do this if you do that. It's just silly to me, and it's very stressful. This marriage is really, really full of strife, and I don't understand how either one of them can be happy in this type of a situation. He's like, I want to go back to America, even though I promised you that I would live in Indonesia. I want to come back to America. And she's like, well, I can only come back if I bring my sister with me, or if we make arrangements for my sister to come and visit me. The sister that you hate, that you can't stand, yeah, she has to come. She has to be able to come into our home and stay with me for a while in order for me to leave Indonesia. So if I'm going to be miserable, you're going to be miserable too. What kind of a marriage is that? If I'm going to be miserable, you're going to be miserable too. So, Tata, okay. So, they ask the question, well, how long is she going to stay in America? And James says it's an open visa. It's an open visa, but I think it's up to 6 months or something. So the cast tells him to cut it short because I think he said it's up to 6 months that you can stay in America, but I guess he has the option to shorten the date. So everybody was like telling him, yeah, make it for like one day, and then she'll have to turn around and go back. And I wonder how this made Tata and Angel feel that the whole entire cast was completely against Angel coming to America. Now, I think that there's a lot going on between these two sisters that we just don't know about. And I don't think that we should just be so quick to judge and just be like, oh, Angel is horrible because she hates James, so forget about Angel. There's something there between Angel and maybe Matalia is just heavily influenced by people, because we see how she's heavily influenced by James. And James is not, I don't think he's a great person. Maybe Angel isn't a great person either, but she's also heavily influenced by Angel. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So the sister asks Tata, are you happy? And Tata says, while she's crying, I'm happy with James. I'm happy with James, but I'm just not happy about where I'm at. So Shekinah is very anti-Angel because of what she's going through. She's internalizing their issues because her sisters can't stand her man. Okay. So she's heavily internalizing Angel and Matalia's issues. And she talks about, how horrible Angel is and how Matalia should just cut her sister off. So during the break, Tata tells James, just forgive and forget. I want the two of y'all to get along. So just forgive my sister and forget about the past. And I feel like what should have happened, but it's too late. What should have happened, I think that the sister should have just stayed out of their relationship. When it comes to relationships between two people, the heart wants what the heart wants. And as a relative of someone who's in a relationship that you may not agree in, just stay out of it. Because time will tell. If the person that they're, unless the person is like physically hurting them, don't get involved. Don't get involved, because the people who are in it are going to want to stay in it, and the more others pressure them to break up and whatever, the more they're going to want to stick together. And some people will stay in very abusive, toxic relationships just to be able to prove everybody wrong, just to be able to be like, hey, you thought we weren't going to make it, but look at us now. This is very much like Sarper and Shekinah. Everybody says we weren't going to make it, everybody told me to break up with you, but look at us now. And I see that maybe Matalia and James might also be like that. So I think the sister should have just stayed out of it. Hey, you want to be with him? Girl, I support you. I love that for you. Whatever you need, girl, I'm here for you. Even though deep down inside, Angel hates it, can't stand James, wishes her sister was never with this man. Just suck it up, Buttercup, because there's nothing you can do, because the heart wants what the heart wants. So moving on from there, we begin with Corona and Inky. Before their segment officially started, Sarper went into the back. I think this was during one of their breaks. He's in the back. He's backstage. He calls Inky on his phone, and he tells Inky, "I'm here for you, brother. I'm on your side. Just make sure that you're able to speak your truth, say everything that you got to say, because Corona, she's a little firecracker, and she's gathering up her troops. She's getting everybody to be on her side and to not like you. So just stand your truth and say what you got to say." So he's trying to give him like a pep talk. So when their segment officially begins, Inky talks about how he came to the United States, I think 2 times, to visit Corona. The second time that he came, her attitude completely changed towards him. He talked about how he wanted to marry her, not marry her. He talked about how much he loved her, how much he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her, how committed he was to Corona. But like the second time he came to the United States to see her, she was really cold and distant towards him. And so that's when he ended up breaking up with her. And then he got up and he left. Like he literally left. Okay, wherever he was sitting in front of the camera, he got up and he walked away. He was done with it. So who knows if he's coming back up the next one. I really don't care. Inky and Corona, to me, they're kind of on the verge of, like, to me, like, they're kind of fake and phony too. I don't buy that relationship. Now, Sarper said that people from wherever Inky's from, the Netherlands, they're very, like, they're very mellow, very chill. They don't get worked up too much about stuff. They don't express their feelings or emotions so much. Um, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea. But what I do know from what I saw, there wasn't a lot of chemistry between Inky and Corona. There just was no chemistry between them at all. I don't even think do they ever even kiss? I don't even know. They rarely were physical affectionate with one another. They didn't even. It wasn't even like a friendship. It was more like somebody, like Inky advertised a room on Craigslist or something. Hey, does anybody want to come live in Iceland and rent a room for me? And Corona was like, I will. That's what it was like a roommate type of situation. I don't know. I just didn't see any passion, any chemistry, any love between these two. But the way Corona was acting towards Inky, like she hated him, couldn't stand him because he played her, he broke her heart, and all this and that. I'm like, girl, the signs were there from day one. Okay, the first day you arrived, you weren't happy, but you still stuck it through. You should have left on day 2. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.